welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I'm grateful to be here. I trust that you are feeling as well as you can in this moment. If there are any difficulties in your life at this time, remember that this too shall pass. And I hope you find peace and relaxation here. Please know that there's space for your feelings if you ever want to share them here. I hope to be your humble host today, and if I'm not, you can hold me accountable to that. Allow me to start by setting the intentions for this space as being a welcoming environment, open to everyone regardless of background, identity, orientation, belief system, ethnicity, etc. May we come together as fellow students of life to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiments. Namaste, dear Chloe. Namaskaram, dear dancing aurora borealis. How are you today? Welcome, dear Anthony O'Brien. Hello, dear Raven. Oh my goodness. Wow. We'll have to keep it platonic, but I'm grateful that you like me talking about the universe. I love talking about the universe, dear Leon. Let's begin with an invocation of a Shanti Mantra taken from the Itinerary and Hatha Upanishads. It goes like this. Ham Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karva Vahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Ham Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine protect us both together. May the Divine nourish us both together. May our studies be rigorous and effective, and may we not mutually dispute or hate any. May there be peace in us. May there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Hello, dear Kiaona, or Kiaona. Do you wonder what's on my microphone? I'll leave that as a riddle for you. I hope Noel finds their headphones. It's a beautiful intention, dear Leon. Hello, dear Trophy Cloud Saturn. Star Talk. Very fitting for your emoji choice. What you heard was the ancient language of Sanskrit, dear Kia. You're feeling happy, dear dancing aurora borealis. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Yes, I like being early. Chloe, you share that meditating and sound healing before bed is helpful. Oh, that is a beautiful thing to share. Thank you, Chloe. I see the truth in that. Yeah. Hello, beautiful Lex. You are right, dear Star Talk. This is a sock. But what kind of sock? That's the question. Oh, I love that, dear Chloe. That's a nice practice. So, on the itinerary today, we will have a short Shravana, the listening portion, where we'll read through the 4th chapter of the 4th act of the journey home. I'm not sure if it's a long chapter or not, I haven't checked. I usually read for the first time with you, although I skim through it first. It might be a 2-parter. Yeah, I think this might be definitely a 2-parter. Maybe even a 3-parter. bit of a longer chapter. Then we'll have Manana, the section dedicated to interaction. We'll do some Q&A. I'll have a question of the day about the beauty in humans. And we'll have an intermission of some poetry reading by Rumi. And then we'll end with the Bija, seed mantra, for the lesser known chakra that's in between the Ajna, the third eye, and the Sahasrara, the crown, which is known as the Bindu. So we'll be doing the mantra for the Bindu chakra 108 times as a meditation, and then that'll be our Sangha for today. Thank you for the woodland wonder, dear Marshall. That's very cute. Hari Om Tat Sat. These beautiful big mala beads, they were something I ordered online from a shop in the Himalayas. You used to have to travel all the way up into the Himalayas to find these, but now there's just the internet. Thank you, Jason, for your heart me. Jaya Satchitananda. Hello, Honey Badger Heels. Dear JR, you lost the game, but have you heard of the game that you win when you remember that you're playing it? That's the game of life. There is that schoolyard game that you lose when you remember that you're playing it. But there's a whole other game that you've been losing the whole time because you forgot you were playing it. But you win once you remember. That's the game of life. Not to be confused with Conway's Game of Life, another great game of life. Thank you, dear Anthony, for your heart me. Radhe, Radhe. Ah, that sounds like a beautiful thing to do, dear Chloe. I don't know, you'll have to ask my mother, dear Fox and the Bear. She grew these vocal cords herself. Hello, dear Maya. I am 23, dear Noel. And thank you, Anthony. I'm glad you like the sounds, Mr. Noah, and welcome back. What is the stick on my lap? Asks Leon. This is called a yoga danda. It actually has a very practical purpose. You know, some of you might notice, if you ever are kind of stuffed up, whatever side you roll onto, all of your congestion moves to that side and it frees up space on your other side. How does your body know what side you're laying on? Well, actually, it's very simple. It's the pressure on one side of your body. So when there's pressure on the left side of your body, your right nostril opens up, and when there's pressure on your right side of the body, your left nostril opens up. Yogis have taken advantage of this fact for thousands of years because pranayama, breath work, is a big thing in yoga. So if I stick the yoga danda under my right arm, then that tricks my body into thinking that I'm laying on that side, and so it opens up the airways on my left side. And vice versa. If I stick the yoga danda under my left armpit, then that tricks the body into thinking I'm laying on my left side because there's pressure here now, and that opens up my airways on the right side. And it's long been known that there's a different effect on your physiology, which pathway is open. Your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system are lateralized, just as different parts of our brain, the different hemispheres, have different functions. So if you find out that you're breathing mostly through your left side, but you want to activate your right side, then you put it under your left arm, or vice versa. So it's a really nice technique to balance your nervous system just with a simple stick under your arm. Now my right nostril is actually open, so I don't need it under my left arm. No, sorry if I wasn't clear. I'm not congested. That's just an example which you might be familiar with. If you're sick, laying on your side, you might pay attention to which side is open. Actually, both my airways are perfectly open right now, which is why I don't have the yoga danda under any arm. And thank you, other Jason, for the heart me. I got a heart me from 2 Jasons. Thank you. Om Kring Kali Kaye Namah. I do try to go through every comment here and all, but sometimes it takes me a while, so I apologize for any delay. Yeah, you get it, dear ex-animalist. Hello, dear Tiger Luna. Yeah, this is also known as a bonk stick, shares Bubbles, because I can go bonk. I have seen that, dear Raven. It's amazing. Someone made Conway's Game of Life inside Conway's Game of Life. Now that's a proof of Turing completeness if I've ever seen one. Hello, dear Sarah. Jaya Sitaram, dear Ranjit. Oh my goodness, you're having your thesis defense tomorrow. That is no small undertaking, but I'm sure you'll do well. Hello, dear Sakshi. Radhe, Radhe. Dear user 841, you share you thought that Rudra was only for Shaivites. You can wear Rudraksha even if you're not a Shaivite. However, Rudraksha does increase your association. That's its purpose, yeah. If you have an association with Shiva, Rudraksha is really nice, yes. But there's no hard and fast rules on who can wear Rudraksha. Actually, that's one of the features of Rudraksha malas. Unlike many other materials that have qualifications, like Tulasi, you can't wear Tulasi while doing anything other than sattvic things. Anyone can wear Rudraksha at any time. That is another technique, Mr. No, and you can also close your nostrils with your hands. Thank you, dear Jason. Hello, dear G. Try wearing a cobra necklace. Just like Shiva. Yeah. I don't know if I'm at that level yet. Hello, dear Emma. Dear Enzo, you ask, what would I do if I had $50 million? $50 million? I don't know. I'm happy with the amount that I have right now. Thank you, dear Nikki. Yes, I'll be doing more videos from the garden now that spring has come, dear Samo. Hello, dear Goran. You are excited for rugby season. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Dear Sam, you ask, what practice do I follow? Nothing in particular. Although I take a lot of inspiration from yoga. And not just Hatha yoga, the yoga of the body, but Karma yoga, the yoga of action. Buddhi yoga, the yoga of intellect. Jnana yoga, the yoga of knowledge. Bhakti yoga, the yoga of loving devotion. Yama yoga, the yoga of moral conduct. The whole philosophical system. Hello, dear Reflex. Dear Tiger Luna, you ask, how do I know so much about Hinduism? I know a lot about well, there's a lot more that I don't know than what I do know. Hinduism is not anything in particular. It has no set of doctrines or tenets, no predefined set of beliefs. It's an absolutely massive and probably infinite system of universal experiences that happen to flourish within the Indian subcontinent in Bharat. And I was drawn to that because mathematics led me there, of all things. I wanted to be a theoretical mathematician when I grew up. But actually, what I really wanted to know is the secrets of the universe, and math ultimately led me to truths that ancient sages of India already knew. So, given that they had many thousands of years of a head start, I thought I'll just copy off of them. They've done all the work, so that we don't have to. Oh, that works out, dear Emma. Hello, dear spirit. I don't know if I have healing powers, but I know that the spirit of the universe does, that flows through me and through you. And I pray that whatever intention I can hold to direct that towards you, to bring out whatever possibility exists already within you, that is mine to make, and I set that now. Om Arm Arlam Ashwini Bhyam Namah. To the divine horse physicians, the Ashwinis, may they grant you healing. Om Arm Arlam Ashwini Bhyam Namah. Something like that, dear Unwalamo. Oh, thank you, dear Emma, for the rock star. I saw some nice rocks today, and I saw a starfish among the rocks, so your rock star gift is very fitting. Thank you. Om Dum Durgaya Namah. Oh. No gifts are ever expected, dear Dalita. And thank you, dear Hairspray Betty, for your beating heart. Om Bhurmbhuvasva Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Hello, Bubbles. Hello, dear Jacqueline. I like that too, dear Unwalumo. I am really looking forward to the next chapter of the journey home, because I had a flip through it and I saw that two of my favorite gurus are in this chapter, and our author stumbles upon them in person back in the 1970s. I wonder if you can guess who they are. I'm sure you know of them. Today we begin the 4th chapter of the 4th act of the journey home. May this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. Let's dive right into it, shall we? At night, I lay on the rooftop of the ashram gazing into the starlit Vrindavan sky. Peacocks carried on a dialogue, and the night guards protected the village by loudly calling out to one another the names of God. But of all the sounds of the Vrindavan night, the one that most captivated my ears was the melody of the Hare Krishna mantra, floating in the breeze from far away. Alternating voices of an old man and woman sang through an amplified speaker all night, every night. These sounds, the guards, the peacocks, the old man and woman singing, created a spiritual symphony that stirred my heart. I thought back to the aged sadhu who had written me a message with a piece chalk on his broken slate. Was I becoming crazy for Krishna here in magical Vrindavan? Traditionally, devotees circumambulate holy places like Vrindavan as an act of worship. One night, a mystical force drew me from the rooftop and onto that dusty pathway that wound around the town. Guided by the moonlight, I roamed along a riverbank path that led me into the forest. From a distant place, a sound drew me. As I came closer, my anticipation soared. Could it be the same song sung by an old man and woman that had been charming me to sleep each night? I yearned to find its origin. The closer I came, the louder the mantra grew. Yes, it was that same song. Soon I found myself in a quaint temple of Hanuman, the divine monkey who personifies ecstatic devotion, where a man and woman in their late 70s were sitting on the floor chanting, their eyes shut in intense absorption. They were clothed in worn white cloth and appeared to be farmers. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I joined them in chanting the familiar melody. When we later parted ways, they invited me to return for lunch the next day. The next afternoon, I stepped from the dusty footpath into Hanuman's temple. Not knowing why, I was brimming with anticipation. Hardly a minute had passed when an Indian man in his mid-20s approached. "Maharaji wants to meet you." "Me?" I asked, pointing to my own chest. "Who is Maharaji? And how does he know me?" "Oh, he knows all about you." "Will you be so kind to tell me about Maharaji?" I asked. "Not now. Maharaji is waiting for you. We'll talk later." Taking my hand, he led me into a sunny courtyard where a round man, beaming a beatific smile, sat cross-legged on a wooden bed, a faded checkered blanket wrapped around his body. I drew closer. His face, framed with white stubble, glowed with an otherworldly joy. His squinting eyes seemed to penetrate through the windows of mine and into the mysteries of my life. I think there's a photo of Maharaji earlier in this book. Let's see if I can bring that photo up so I can show you. Get some nice visuals going on. Yeah. A bit of a spoiler of who the other guru is, but anyone know his name? This was Neem Karoli Baba. While I was living in the Himalayas, I had heard of his extraordinary qualities. His followers affectionately addressed him as Maharaji. And that's why I talking to him. He is the teacher of another famous guru. As I approached, he was speaking in Hindi to a few Indian disciples who sat on the ground in a semicircle around him. Seeing me, he broke into a contagious smile and welcomed me. He raised his index finger and spoke to me through a translator. You have forsaken wealth and comforts in search of enlightenment, and with great struggle have come to India. Now you travel alone and cry for God, while your family far away cries for you." With a gracious swoop of his hand, he motioned me to sit with the others. "Have no fears," he said, so serious that his brow furrowed and lips tightened. "Rejoice to bear all difficulties. Krishna has heard your prayers and brought you to Vrindavan. By chanting the name of Rama and Krishna, everything is accomplished. But," he said, shaking his head, "people are creating a hell by their addiction to criticizing and fighting. Do not judge others or fall into those egoistic ways." He seemed to know everything about me and spoke just the words I needed to hear. I was both charmed and amazed. But almost the whole world has fallen into that trap. How do I avoid it? I asked. His eyes twinkled as he smiled. "Love everyone, serve everyone, and feed everyone. Serve like Hanuman, without selfishness and greed. This is the key to realizing God." Assuming the mood of a playful child, he put his hand to his mouth as if eating and invited us to take the sacred food. As we entered the special hall for a meal, I expressed to my guide how eager I was to hear about his guru. He obliged. "I'm from a village near Nandital in the Himalayas, and from childhood I've loved Maharaji." We sat in lines on the floor. A devotee placed leaf plates in front of us and filled them with scoops of wonderful food. My host was dressed in a button-down white shirt and pants, his wavy black hair oiled and neatly combed. After reciting a short prayer, he related some memories of Neem Karoli Baba. "Maharaji is a Siddha Purusha, a perfected being. I have actually personally witnessed his knowledge of past, present, and future. Actually, he always knows where I am and what I'm doing." He sipped from his clay cup of cooling yogurt drink called lassi. I love lassi. "Let me tell you something else," he added. "Maharaji is sometimes in two distant places at the same time. This has been documented. We are always expecting him to appear or disappear at the least expected moment. He's unpredictable. At any moment he may appear or disappear, chastise or praise, speak in riddles or profound truths, or instruct someone to renounce the world or get married. But the one thing we know for sure is he always brings out the very best in us and carries us closer to God." He smiled with pride. Neem Karoli Baba, although a grave yogi, can be so charming in his playfulness, just like Hanuman. I was served steaming halwa, farina sautéed in butter and steamed in sweet syrup. The delectable aroma filled the room. As we ate it, Neem Karoli Baba appeared in the doorway. Noting us relishing our food, he smiled with joy. I rejoiced too, seeing his sweet mood. He personified everything he taught us. Love everyone, serve everyone, and feed everyone. Just like Hanuman. The next day, I returned and found Maharaji surrounded by a few followers reciting the story of Hanuman's devotion from the Ramayana. Transfixed, Neem Karoli Baba trembled, tears streaming from his eyes. For the next few weeks, I spent an hour or so each day sitting at Maharaji's feet. He didn't give formal lectures while I was there, but rather he spoke casually with his followers or sang kirtan. I was fascinated by how he would respond to questions with brief but concise wisdom, such as, just serve every creature in God's creation with humility, respect, and love. Or, Just sing the names of Rama and everything else will be attained. One day he turned to me, his eyes seeming to search my soul. Then, shooting up a single finger, he exclaimed, "Ek! Ek! Ek! God is one." At that time, I was not aware that people from the West knew of Neem Karoli Baba until the arrival of a celebrity well known in my generation. That is, of course, Baba Ram Das, of which there is also a picture that I can show for you. Here he is. I was going to give an introduction, but I think our author is going to. One day, while I sat at the feet of Maharaji, Ram Das and a small entourage of Westerners unexpectedly turned up at the ashram. This icon of the 1960s counterculture, formerly the controversial Professor Richard Alpert of Harvard University, had, together with Timothy Leary, popularized LSD as a means of expanding consciousness. Upon entering, Ram Das meekly bowed his graying head in the lap of his guru as a small child might. Affection poured from his guru's heart as he playfully tugged the graying beard of his disciple and patted his head like a puppy. Laughing, Maharaji said, "We were waiting for you." How beautiful it was for me to see a distinguished Harvard scholar and powerful social icon enjoying being treated like a naughty little boy. Maharaji beamed a smile upon all of us, then waved his hand, exclaiming, "Jao, prasadam, go, take lunch." Maharaji must have mystically known of their unannounced arrival, as an amazing feast had been prepared in larger quantity than usual that day. I had the pleasure of bringing Ram Das and his entourage to some of the holy places in Vrindavan. One day we attended a kirtana and talk given by Ananda Mai Ma, who had an ashram in Vrindavan. We've met her already in this book, but I think there's also a picture of her. We're meeting all the celebrities, hey? Yeah, there's a picture. The bliss-filled mother. She remembered me from our meeting in the Himalayas, and as she gave her lecture to a large audience, she looked toward me and nodded, then reconfirmed the spiritual direction I was heading with the words, "Whenever you possibly can, sustain the flow of the holy name. To repeat his name is to be in his presence. If you associate with a supreme friend, he will reveal his true beauty to you." When the program ended, Ram Das and I fell into a soul-searching discussion, but night was falling, so he invited me to continue our talk the next day at his residence. I arrived early at the Jaipur Dharamsala, a guest house on a noisy lane lined with cloth shops and food stalls, and congested with bicycle rickshaws honking loud rubber horns to scatter the foot traffic. Baba Ram Das opened the door, morning light beaming on his welcoming face. I looked beyond him into the room, which resembled not the residence of a distinguished professor, but that of a simple sadhu. Graciously, he led me to the only piece of furniture, a wooden bed. After offering me a seat, he too sat cross-legged, spreading out his flowing white robes. We faced each other, His graying hair streamed from his balding head and draped onto his back and shoulders. A breeze from the nearby window slightly whisked his peppered beard. His large blue eyes glowed, and the faint wrinkles in their corners creased deeply as he smiled. Speaking no words, we simply looked into each other's hearts through the channel of the eyes. Those moments seemed timeless. That long gaze we shared affected my vision in such a way that at times he looked like an innocent child and at other times like an ancient, stoic sage. I reflected on a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. As the eternal soul passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. A sublime peace filled the room. Perhaps half an hour passed in this way before Ram Das took a deep breath, slightly shrugged his shoulders, and broke our silence with the invocation, Om. Could you tell me something about your spiritual journey? I asked him. I was eager to learn how he had come to India and how he had met his guru. Ram Das shifted his weight on the wooden slab of a bed, as if readying himself for the narrative. A few years back, he began, I came to India. I brought with me a supply of LSD, hoping to find someone who might understand more about these substances than we did in the West. In my travels, I met an American sadhu, Bhagwan Das, who guided me to Neem Karoli Baba. That was in 1967. I was grieving the death of my mother. Maharaji saw into my heart and consoled me with unimaginable compassion. Without my ever having said a word about my life, he could read my heart and tell the confidential details of my past. His powers combined with his love, wisdom, and humor transformed my life. I had a similar experience when I first met him, I said. He seemed to know everything about me. Baba Ram Das smiled. One day, Maharaji asked me, Where is the medicine? At first I was confused, but Bhagavan Das suggested he was asking for LSD. Intrigued, I held out 3 pills of pure LSD, and to my astonishment, he swallowed them all. I was prepared to clinically monitor his reactions, but nothing happened. Nothing. His consciousness is beyond LSD. Having myself witnessed the powers of Himalayan yogis, I laughed in wonder. Ram Das sat cross-legged with his back erect. His palms rested upward on his lap. I couldn't separate myself from Maharaji's association, and so I stayed as long as I could. Accepting me as his disciple, he gave me the name Ramadas, which means servant of Lord Rama. Months passed in his extraordinary company. As influential as I was in America, Maharaji forbid me from bringing anyone to him. Ram Das shook his head in disbelief. He had no inclination for anything material, neither money, fame, or followers. I'd never seen anyone like him. Apprehending a new love he felt for his guru, his voice began to tremble. When I sit with Maharaji, I feel I have unconditional love for everyone in the world. In that same year, 1971, Ram Das published his story in the classic Be Here Now. As the day passed, a sense of brotherhood grew between us as we shared the realizations and inspirations we had gained on our spiritual journeys. Before parting, I confided in him a concern that had come to weigh heavily on my mind. Mother India has become my spiritual home. I have so much still to discover, but I fear that my next visa extension will be denied and I'll be forced to leave. Baba Ram Das closed his eyes and submerged into deep thought. Despite the commotion from the busy street outside, the room was serene. I closed my eyes as well and drifted into the tranquility of meditation. 5 minutes passed. When I opened my eyes, I found Ram Das gazing at me with a gentle smile. He said softly, "You may have to leave the geographical boundaries of India. However, you never have to leave Bharat, the spirit of India within." Thank you for listening. Actually, we finished the chapter. I must have miscounted, as I thought we would only finish just a part of that. But no, I think I lumped in chapter 5 with chapter 4 of the 4th act, which I look forward to starting with you next time. If you have any insights you want to share from that, love for Baba Ram Das or Neem Karoli Baba, I'd love to hear it. Pardon me. Good read today, I agree, dear G. That concludes our Shravana section, and I look forward to transitioning to the Manana section. Here we go. And we can turn our attention to whatever is in our hearts and minds. And I welcome everyone that joined while we were reading. And thank you to those who sent a gift too. Dear Risi, thank you for the heart made. Om Ganganapadaye Namah. And Hairspray Betty, thank you for the beating heart. I think I thanked you for this already. I thank you again. Thank you, Dob Darker, for your heart made. Ram Ram and Pure Possibility, thank you for your heart made. Jaya Sita Ram. Has my time zone changed? Asks Azra. Maybe my internal time zone. Tatwamasi, thank you for your quintet of roses. Jai Neem Karoli Baba Maharaji. Hi Bridjan, you talked about Krishna and Kali the other day. Your kids were asking you. You were delighted. Oh, that's so lovely. You don't have to be qualified to talk about the forms of the divine that speak to your heart. It is your heart speaking that is the qualification. Thank you, Hybrid Jinn, for your woodland wonder. Om Kali Maha Kali Kalike Parameshwari Sarvananda Kari Devi Narayani Namostute. Dear Truth Seeker, thank you for your heart me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Alexander, thank you for your rose. Om Dham Namastandraya. I do feel cozy, dear white moth. Dear Kai Koop, you ask, how did I learn Sanskrit? You want to learn to read the sutras. What a beautiful idea. I believe you will succeed in that wish. The internet is a wonderful place for Sanskrit, especially large language models like ChatGPT. Some of you may know that ChatGPT is made by a company called OpenAI, and OpenAI founded with a couple goals for their large language models, for the GPTs. One of their goals was to push the frontiers of what's called computational philosophy. I actually don't know much about what computational philosophy is, other than it's philosophy done by a computer. And the largest body of philosophical literature is actually in Sanskrit, of all languages, just like the sutras you want to learn. Because of those truths, their large language models are trained on a vast array of Sanskrit texts. This means that one of the best resources for Sanskrit today is ChatGPT. In fact, ChatGPT is so good at Sanskrit, it could even help you translate Vedic Sanskrit, the oldest forms, which have some of the most complex grammar. But I would start by learning the alphabet, or actually, it's called an abugida, because it's a different system than representing consonants and vowels with equal weight. What it does is it represents consonants primarily, and then it flavors the consonants depending on the vowel that follows after them. It's called an abugida. It's something in between an alphabet and an abjad. That's the script called Devanagari. There's no Duolingo for Sanskrit, but there is Duolingo for Hindi, and Hindi uses the same script. And Duolingo has a section where you can practice even drawing the letters of Devanagari. So I'd recommend Duolingo for learning the script. You pretend that you're going to learn Hindi, and then the first few lessons are just learning the script, and then you make the Duolingo owl very sad if you don't continue your lessons, but your language journey continues from there. You're very welcome, dear Kaikub. Mr. No One, you share that your days seem to be very long lately. Well, I hope that's a good thing for you. I think you would like to have a long life. You'd want to extract as much time out of your days as possible. Thank you, Talitha, for your heart me and pair of roses. Or, yeah, thank you. Om Kamlyar Mahakalikaye Namah. And thank you, Sazrar, for your heart me. Om Bhram Hanumate Namah. Right, dear G. Dacker? Duolingo is quite the peer pressurer. Is that so, dear G. Dacker? ChatGPT is banning scripture reading. How interesting. I wonder why. I find that there's always a clever workaround. You can say, oh, well, this isn't a scripture. This is a philosophical treatise written in a spiritual theme. And then ChatGPT goes, oh, well, in that case, I'd be happy to read it and translate it for you. Oh, thank you for sharing that, dear Sazrar. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I was reciting that song a few nights ago by the light of Vidya. It's beautiful. We will be doing a meditation at the end of this live stream, probably in half an hour. We'll begin it. And good evening, dear Al. Yeah, we did do that Tattvamasi, yeah, when we were reading through The Hidden Power in Humans. Hello, dear Stormy Ariel. But I have a question of the day for you all, if you're interested in exploring it together. Dear Sid, you were wondering what made me want to grow my hair out. To be completely honest, when I was a child, I wanted to know what my hair tasted like. I had this dying desire to know what does my hair taste like. And I guess I didn't think about cutting a piece off and tasting it. However, when I grew up, I didn't feel like I was worthy of having long hair. I felt like to have long hair, you have to have some kind of, flow to you. And I definitely did not have that kind of flow. So I kept getting a haircut. And every time I got a haircut, I'd tell myself, this is the last time. But then I felt unworthy, and so I'd cut my hair again. And then a few years ago, I finally felt like I was ready to have long hair. So I let it grow. And I was very disappointed that hair doesn't taste like anything. And it's a terrible texture. But now I know. Good night, dear Guy Coop. Now I've got hair in my mouth. Thank you, dear Al. Dear Sazra, you ask, don't we all have some sense of flow? I think teenage or preteen me would challenge that notion. Thank you, Kiyo. No, I don't think I have come across that book, dear Mr. Noah. So, my question of the day today. What do you find beautiful about humans? Pretend you're an alien. Observing. Non-biased. You are speaking from a part of you that's beyond human. Just observing this human species on this moist rock hurling to the void. What do you like about humans? What do you find beautiful about them? Diversity, like minerals or gems. I like that. We do come in lots of different colors and shades, and we dress ourselves up all sorts of different ways. We all have a unique voice, pair of eyes, height, shape. Their devotion to their young. That is very beautiful, Mr. Noah. You also appreciate the diversity, dear Ad. I like that. Sazra, you like when humans treat each other kindly. That is beautiful. Yeah, I'd like to see more of that. Eyes, shares Leon. They tell so much. Indeed. Yeah. A wise person once said, that even when the lips lie, the eyes don't. What's that saying? Real eyes realize real lies. It's a good one. Their hair. Oh, it's very topical. Share sea flow. Long hair. Oh. Well, thank you, Dancing Aurora Borealis. Their compassion, shares L. That can be very beautiful. Angels here. You share, we find so many different things to do to fill our time and help our lives move along. We are the best at filling our time with shenanigans, I will say. Yeah. No species does their shenanigans quite like humans. A full spectrum of vibrations. I like that, G. Decker. Jacqueline, you absolutely love when humans unite for a cause. That is very beautiful. G, you share their ability to create interesting things. Yeah, we do create interesting things, don't we? Yeah. Well, I'm a little biased. As a human, I am interested in the doings of other humans. To be fair, so are other animals. Animals do go up to human-made things like, what? What is this? Especially dogs, you know, you make anything new. Dogs always like, what's this? Gotta sniff this? Ah. Cats as well. Dear LA, you shared their resilience, ability to bounce back from adversity. Oh, that is beautiful. Thank you for adding that. Dalkinton, you share, when we realize there are no problems, only solutions. I like that. Yeah. I just love that your profile picture is just Mario. I have to read that in Mario's voice. It's me, a Mario. When we realize there are no problems, only solutions. Yahoo! Imitation, shares Talita. That can be very beautiful. Yeah. Bluksk, you share the depth of our emotions. Ah, I concur. But I've been well. Thank you for asking, Angel. How are you? Hello, dear Up the Freeway. Dear Felipe, you share their lack of understanding that we're all one. That is beautiful in a way. Heliosphere you share with such limitations, and still they raise up to such heights. Beauty incarnate. What would my answer be? It's a good question, dear Leon. I'll think about it while I'm reading all of your beautiful answers. Mr. No One, you share that humans are at their best when faced with fear. I know what you mean. Yeah. When the mind goes, I'm out of here. Do you ever notice that? The mind talks big game about all the things you have to fear. But if you're ever actually in a truly fearsome situation, your mind goes, see ya, and lets the rest of your faculties figure out what to do. The duality of man. Yes, dear Soli. Hybrid Gen, you share, you like that humans mimic their environment, like veins that look like branches, or tongue like starfish. I saw a starfish today, that was nice. But yeah, I like your answer. If you were an alien, dear KO, you share their free will to choose, experiencing the polarity of the world, to grasp it. How profound. Yes, very philosophical. Hi Bridgen, you share that they can climb a mountain or deep dive in the water. Awesome. It's pretty inspiring. Loli, you share the ability to fall and rise. That is very encouraging. Their compassion and empathy. This is such a wholesome set of answers. I'm really grateful for this. Thank you for adding that, Ragnhildur. Dear Kelly, you ask, am I practicing sobriety? And if I am, has it helped with my growing and healing? Yeah, I stopped drinking and smoking about 4 years ago now. It's kind of funny because I stopped as soon as I turned 19, which is the age when that becomes legal here in British Columbia, Canada. So I did all of my drinking and smoking before it was legal, and now that it's legal, I'm not interested. The appeal has worn off. But yeah, absolutely. I think back to a story. I was about to call it a joke, but it's actually a real story. My stoner friend, he would get his weed from a dealer, and his dealer smoked like all day, every day for years. He'd even wake up in the middle of the night to smoke. So he was high while he dreamt. One day, he forgot to smoke. I don't know, he was so high that he forgot to smoke after smoking every day, all day for years. And he started to wonder, what is this new state of consciousness? He had forgotten what it was like to be sober. And he felt like it was the highest he's ever been. You know, his consciousness was so clear, so pristine. Everything was immaculate, so vivid. Anyway, long story short, my friend had to find a new dealer. Because he gave up weed after that. Because there's nothing like being high off life, truly. After a similar realization, it was the easiest decision for me. Thank you, I am Princess Mom, for the heart me that you sent. Om Saraswatyai Namah. Hello, dear Viri, and thank you for your heart me and team cheers. Namah Shivaya. Now back to some questions of the day, or answers to the question of the day. Oh, I'm glad to hear you're alright, dear angel. Life is crazy though, I agree. And you add the ability to live and care for each other is something you find beautiful about humans. I like that. Yeah. Limitation is educational. I concur, dear Felipe. To love and care for each other, shares Anne. There's a lot that's quite cute about humans. I agree, dear Michelle. For example, that they gather in one place to move to sounds and are happy to do so. Or they clap their hands together to express admiration. Yeah, it's just a very fast namaskaram. When you do it slow, it's namaskaram. When you do it fast, then it's clapping. Thank you, Veri, for your trio of roses. I am Princess Mom. You find beautiful the twinkle in their eyes when they are happy. You love seeing that in people. Oh, what a blessing you are. Humans are the best TV show for aliens. I agree. I think we would make a good TV show, dear Enzo. And I think I ended up answering your question, dear Emma, by answering the other question. Yeah, just mantras. Yeah. Someone with a beautiful Arabic name, you share the propensity to create things. Box with strings. That is very beautiful. Thank you, Kendrick. I trust your journey, dear hybrid Jen. You find our innocence beautiful, shares Emma. Innocence is a beautiful thing. We're like the children of the universe, always learning. I like that, Emma. Love is all powerful within the human condition. Indeed, Mr. No One. Oh, Trident emoji. Dear Moon Lover, you ask how to deal with spiritual depression. You can spiritualize your depression by realizing that when you are depressed, it's a call for deep rest. Being depressed is needing deep rest, and rest connects us with our spirit. In Vedanta, the philosophical tradition stemming from the Vedas, they often compare the state of deep sleep to the oneness of God. It's a profound idea that when you are asleep, there's no ego, there's no sense of separateness, there's just a oneness. There's no subject and object, there's just pure being. Neither darkness nor light. Neither eternity nor the moment. Neither loudness nor silence. There just is. Dear Tiki One, you ask in my personal life balance, what do I do for fun? I live stream on TikTok. That's funny, Hybrid Jen. I do like that show. It's a good show. Very well written. Thank you, dear Om, for your quartet of roses. Thank you, everyone, for exploring my question of the day together. I found all of your answers beautiful. And I think I've answered my own question by saying that I am in awe of the beauty of the ways in which us humans take a stab at different angles at the same question. And Annika, you love that humans have humor. It's in the root, hum. You can't spell human without the hum in humor. Now, is that an etymological coincidence or not? I don't know. Dear SL, you ask, how do you start your day feeling grounded and happy? Oh, I have a good answer to this because I did a good job of that today. Today, I got up and instead of touching my phone, I prayed And I lit an incense stick, and with my incense stick, I traced the faces and circles around all of the statues of my altar, chanting the different names of the divine. I did as many mantras as I could. I think I chanted mantras for 10 minutes, and then I prayed, wishing everyone that I could name in my life happiness, healing, and grace. Then I washed my face. That was nice. And then I did some stretches, a couple asanas. And then I did a round of more chanting. I love chanting, if you can't tell. I did 108 Om Namah Shivayas. And then I texted my loved ones, hung out with my cats for a little bit, and went for a really long walk. I walked to the ocean, then to the forest, and then to the beach. And that's how I started my day today. Oh, I also had a nice glass of warm water, almost hot water. That was pretty grounding. And I am not one to wake up early in the morning at all. I usually wake up in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening. So I woke up in the morning feeling terrible. But after I did all of that, I feel so much better. I feel really good right now, actually. Physically, mentally. Ah yes, the four humes. Humility, humor, human, and hummus. Dear Felipe, you ask, is there a wanting to go to sleep and a fear of waking up? Are we born every day again? I think you know the answer to that question. Jigang for you. That's beautiful, dear Miss Ash. You love chanting too. I am Princess Mom. Ah, I'm happy we shared that. It was a great day. Yeah. You don't have to follow exactly what I did, but yeah, prayer really helps. I don't pray to anyone in particular. Even if it's just to the universe, or even if it's to some guy named Bob. Oh Bob, where art thou, Bob? Setting your intentions for the day, extending your love. It's a very simple idea that the assumption of love within you fills you with that feeling. How do you assume that there's love in you? By sharing it. So even if you wake up in the morning feeling like you got no love to give before you get your coffee or whatever, try praying in such a way that you give your love to the important people in your life. And you'll feel better afterwards. Even though you're not getting anything. In fact, if anything, you're giving. But giving assumes that there's something within you to give. And by giving love, by giving thoughts, by giving prayer, that assumes there's something sweet inside you. And that flavors the rest of your day. Thank you, Rai. Rai, you can tell me. You went to the beach today, dear Hybrid Jen. It felt therapeutic. Then several minutes later, your autistic daughter took off running, and your calm and joy went to extreme panic, and she was running towards the parking lot, and your mind is going through things. You are needing spirit to keep you up. That is the most motherly day. If your children aren't putting you on a roller coaster of emotions. Are you really a parent? Well, it's very good that you weren't so lost in the tranquility of that moment, but you still had awareness of your child. Dancing Aurora Borealis, you had a wonderful walk in the pouring rain. It was so refreshing. That does sound refreshing. I can almost smell the petrichor. Yeah, I like the way you put that, Mr. No One. Give gratitude every day will lead to love of life. Dear Cheyenne, you ask, do the beads I wear give me a positive energy? They do make me happy. Although, of course, I know deep down that the source of happiness is within. I give them the coupon to bring out my joy whenever I wear them. Yeah, well said, dear Om. Act from a place of positivity, even when you feel negative. And thank you, Marcito. Thank you, dear G. Dakar. Now, I would love to do a little intermission so that we may listen to the poetry of the beloved Sufi mystic. You know his name. You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of I ran out of oomph. Wait for it. I really wouldn't have gotten this far. Ruminations. There we go. It had to wait and for me to keep going. I believe that whatever you decide, you will make it right, dear Marcito. And it will be a healing journey. How do I do that? Asked Blair. Oh, I know the answer. How do you make your tongue flutter? It's like sticking a flag in the wind. I used to think that it was very fast muscle movements in your tongue, but actually you let your tongue go limp. What you do is you create a very fast current of streaming air, and then you stick your floppy tongue in that current, and then it waves just like a flag in the breeze. So you start with the fast flowing air with your voice, and then you just put your tongue up into that airstream. And as soon as you put your tongue in that airstream, it flaps in the breeze. The secret is a lot of air. You need that breath going. Your voice alone won't cut it. In fact, you can do it without your voice. Anyway, let's read some poetry, shall we? The window of the soul. During prayer, I often turn to God and recall the meaning of the words of the tradition, the delight felt in the ritual prayer. The window of my soul opens, and from the purity of the unseen world, The book of God comes to me directly. The book, the rain of divine grace, and the light are falling into my house through a window from my real and original source. The house without such a window is a hell. To make a window is the essence of real religion. Don't thrust your axe upon every thicket. Come, use your axe to cut open a window. There's a footnote. That saying, the delight felt in ritual prayer, is said to have been mentioned by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as one of the 3 things he loved best in the world. How interesting. Dear Sati, you had a friend named Rumi. Well, may this next poem be dedicated to him. The companionship of fools. Maybe I should have read what this poem was about before dedicating it to him. I'm sure it's a good poem. Flee from the foolish. Even Jesus fled from them. Much blood has been shed by companionship with fools. Air absorbs water little by little. Even so, the fool drains you of spirit. They steal your heat and leave you cold, like the one who puts a stone beneath you. The flight of Jesus wasn't caused by fear, for he is safe from the mischief of fools. His purpose was to teach by example. Dear Rumi is not a fool, but he flees from them. The essence of all sciences. This will be the last poem. If you know the value of every article of merchandise, but you don't know the value of your own soul, it will all have been pointless. You've come to know the fortunate and the inauspicious stars, but you don't know whether you yourself are fortunate or unlucky. This is the essence of all sciences, that you should know who you will be when the day of reckoning arrives. Thank you for listening. This has been another episode of Ruminations. If you have any insights you want to share from that reading, I'd be grateful to explore it with you. Of course, dear Michelle. What a saying. Some people are so poor, all they have is money. That's powerful. Michelle, you asked me a typographical question. A typographical question. Which one is the correct apostrophe? For example, don't or don't. Yeah, I have noticed that. I think it's the second one, because the first one is slanted. It's a single quote. When it's slanted, it's a quote. When it's just vertical, it's an apostrophe. Like when you see double quotes, they're slanted. That's my guess. I could be wrong. Shakira, you shared autocorrects to don't with the slanted one. But maybe that's true. Maybe when it's vertical, then it's a single quote. I don't know. Now I don't know. I would hope that the engineers behind the autocorrect would have put the right apostrophe. Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't think anyone's gonna judge you, whether your apostrophe is crooked or straight. In the same way, I'm not gonna judge you if you're straight or not. Everyone's welcome here. Thank you, Kingsley, for your rose too. Om Aram Brahmane Nama. And dear Shakira, thank you for your heart mate and your woodland wonder. Om Sum Suryaya Nama. Thank you, Carrie, for your rose. Om Namah Karim Ambita Me Shrim Nadita Me Harim Devita Me Aim Sarasvatyai Swaha. Dear Julie, can I talk about how to stop feeling guilty over a past mistake? Absolutely, I'd love to. I think there's a positive kind of guilt, and there's a negative kind of guilt. Or, in maybe more helpful terms, there's a helpful kind of guilt, and then there's a harmful kind of guilt, or an unhelpful kind of guilt. Harmful guilt is probably the one that you're describing, otherwise I'm sure you wouldn't want to stop that. Harmful guilt is when you beat yourself up over it, that it actively takes away from being present. I feel like that kind of idea stems from a belief that what you did is unforgivable. Because if it's unforgivable, then there's nothing you can do but lament. But if you can forgive yourself, if you can transform that unhelpful guilt into a helpful guilt, then your past mistake becomes not a burden but a blessing. I think it starts by affirming that there's no series of choices that were meant for you that you missed. That your destiny is now locked behind bars, that you permanently messed up. You are still here in this moment for a reason. Whatever you did, no matter how bad the mistake was, the universe has not smited you. Your heart still beats, your lungs still breathe, your veins still pump blood. Part of you, part of the universe that is you, still wants to be here. And that means that you are allowed to continue living. You haven't been taken away from the opportunity to live. You still have that. And that comes with the ability to transform your mistakes into lessons. That you know now that if you could go back in time, you have knowledge that you didn't before. You would do something differently. And that's all that truly matters, because no matter how poor of your decision it was, nobody expects you to change the past, because you can't. Nobody can. But what you can do is change yourself today. If there was some part of you that did something, you can change it to do it in a healthier way today. If you take accountability by transforming your perspective so that you create a better future for yourself, then that is a helpful kind of guilt. One that doesn't take away from your moment, but gives you a purpose, the most meaningful purpose you can have, to create an even better tomorrow based on what you did yesterday, all now, in this moment, here. Oh, I love that, dear Noah. Om Namah Shivaya. What a beautiful quote, Felipe. All you take from life is what you give to others. Under the seas, you ask, how do you find inner peace being alone? Well, it's the best place to find peace. Inner peace means inside you. You can't find that inside anyone else. If you're surrounded by people, it might even be harder to find inner peace. So you are actually in the best position to do so. Transform your loneliness to solidarity. In that solidarity, take up meditation. Aw. I'm really happy to hear that, dear Julie. If what I say resonates with you, it's because you already knew it deep down. Good night, dear Talita. What is the feeling of loneliness? Asks Tatwamasi. You share you enjoy being alone, but can't say you felt lonely. I know what you mean. Emma, you also share being alone is the best. You have a problem when you're not able to be alone. Well, you both are very blessed to have that connection with your inner self. When we are lacking that connection with our inner self, we can often substitute that with connections to others. But if we depend on connections with others for that feeling of connection, then when we are alone, we feel disconnected. And it's that disconnection that's lonely. And as you can infer from that description, the solution is therefore to reconnect with the part of you that you were enjoying vicariously through others, which you saw as a mirror, although you did not know it was a mirror, a reflection to your own soul. And thank you, dear I Am Princess, for your team bracelet. Om Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. I love that, dear Mr. No One. Well, you're not on your own. You have your fur baby. That's someone. Well, thank you, Anisawara, for your heart meme. Ham Jomsa Dhryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan mrityurmukshiyamamritat. It's nice to have you here again, dear Shauna. Oh, I'm happy to hear that, dear Noah. You finished the Gita today? We're on a coincidence streak. You've got Rudraksha malas with you. I've got Rudraksha malas with you. You finished the Gita today. I've got the Gita next to me too. I love that. Why don't we read... Let's read a verse from the last chapter to sign you off. Here we go. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sanyasam kavayo viduh sarva karma phalatyagam prahustyagam vichakshanaha. The giving up of activities that are based on material desire are what the great learned people call the renounced order of life, sannyasa. But giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga. What do you have to truly let go of in life? Sri Krishna says, well, if you are wise, if you are smart, you give up material pursuits. But if you are wise, you give up your attachment to material pursuits. Give up gain, or give up the expectation of gain. It's a good verse. Thank you for inspiring that, dear Noah. Oh, thank you, Ryan. You too, my friend. And Shade, thank you for your heart me. Om Mani Padme Hum. Hello, dear Logan. You're wondering where my videos went. Well, I can direct you to the link tree in my bio. There is a Google Doc form that has a lot of answers to such questions. I haven't updated it in a while, but the story of why I transitioned in my content is up there. I think the story, the way it's written, would do it more justice than what I have to say now. Yes. I know what you mean, dear Shade. You will. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, dear Shauna. How are you? Now, I would love to end with a meditation. If you're interested in meditating with me, this type of meditation is called mantra japa, which means the repetition of mantra. It's a great way to keep your mind occupied from wandering whilst you meditate. I think you're really going to like this mantra we have today. It's very simple. It's just one word of 3 syllables. Allow me to set it up for you. Ready. Many of you are surely familiar with the 7 chakra system of different energy centers in our astral or subtle body. They go from the root all the way to the crown. However, there is little known fact, more chakras than just those 7. And one of the more major ones, not included in that 7, which is in between the Ajna, the third eye, and the Sahasrara, the crown, is known as the Bindu. We have done the mantras for all of the other 7 chakras, including the main ones and all of the sub-mantras, but we have yet to do the bija, the seed mantra, for the Bindu. All of the other chakras exhaust the entirety of the Sanskrit soundscape. Im, im, aim, aham, gam, 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 cham, cham, jam, nyam, dum, nam, dum, nam, bum, yam, ram, vam, sham, sam, ham, sham. So you may be wondering, what mantra is used for the Bindu chakra? Well, I'll show you. Here we'll open up the trusty Hidden Power in Humans, Chakras and Kundalini by Paramahans Swami Maheshwarananda. And I'll open just between the third eye and the crown. Probably should have put a sticky note so I could find this faster for you. Oh, I had opened to it. I was just on the other page. Here's some artwork for the Bindu chakra. I'll tell you a little bit about it too, since there's not a lot you need to know. For example, its position within the body is said to be at the back of the head beneath the cowlick. Its color is colorless, transparent. And its tattva, its principle, is amrita, the nectar of immortality. Its divinity is Shiva, representing consciousness. Its symbol is the crescent moon, the moon as the dispenser of nectar. It's believed that just as the sun gives nutrients in the form of sunlight, the moon also gives a kind of spiritual nutrient in the form of moonlight, that being soma, also known as amrita, where we get the English word ambrosia. Its qualities and aspects include youthfulness, vitality, health, healing, harmony, clarity, calming the emotions, and strengthening eyesight. It's associated with the hypothalamus, part of the interbrain, and the diencephalon. Not sure what that is. Other names include the moon center, the Chandra Kamala, which means the moon lotus, or Soma Chakra, which means the center of that nectar. And I've left the best for last, which is the mantra, which I don't know if you can see. Based off the tattva, the mantra is Amritam, which means I am immortal. Obviously, the body and the mind, they come and go, always changing. So this mantra connects us with something else other than the body and the mind. That being the divinity that dwells within, known as Shiva, or the consciousness. I've added some text on screen here. We have the ancient script of Brahmi, and what it later evolved into, the Devanagari, which is the current script used to render Sanskrit, and of course the international alphabet of Sanskrit transliteration. So you'll notice that there's no vowels in between M and T, or it appears to be so. Well, actually, the letter R here, with a dot under it, is serving the purpose of a vowel. In many languages, the sound, because it's part of the vowel space, can be used as a vowel. So you can directly go from the M to the T with an R sound. You produce it by curling your tongue back, and you might find that your tongue flutters in the wind of your voice. So there's a rolled R effect too. And at the end, you'll see a dot below the M, which indicates that this is no ordinary M either. This is the sacred Anuswara, which is the inner sound. The highest place a body can resonate. Its voice is in the nasal cavity. So it's a very sacred and auspicious thing to do. Raise the vibrations into that place. It sounds like this. Kind of sounds like a sitar or some other instrument. We'll be chanting it 108 times. And I will be using the very technical necklace or prayer beads to count out 108 repetitions so that we don't have to. Amritam, 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 Let's sit in silence for a few moments. Feeling the echoes of the reverberations of this Bija mantra. Observe how it made you feel. Does that sense of beingness within you feel more real? Thank you for meditating with me. As a bonus fun fact, a reward for meditating so long, the word immortal comes from the Sanskrit amrita, from the root murt, meaning to die. It's actually where we get the word morning from. So when you say good morning, you're saying good death. Maybe a reason to start saying grand rising instead. Namaste. That concludes our Nididhyasana, our supplementary practice portion of our Sangha, and we'll be saying goodbye now. Thank you everyone who was here. Thank you, dear Giuliano, for the ice cream cone you sent whilst we meditated. Ham sadyuja tam prapadyami sadyuja taya vai namo namah Bhave bhave nati bhave bhavaswamam bhavod bhavaya namah. Thank you, dear Oren, for your heartmeet, team bracelet, and pair of team cheers. Vamadevaya namo Jeshtaya namah Shreshtaya namo Rudraya namah Kalaya namah Kalivikarnaya namo Balaya namo Balivikarnaya namo Balapramatanaya namah Sarva Bhuta Damanaya namo Manonmanaya Namaha. Ah, well said, dear Felipe. Thank you, dear Hairspray Betty, for your hand hearts. Aghorebhyo taghorebhyo aghore tarebhya Sarvadash sarva sarvebhyo namaste rudra rupebhya. Thank you, Mr. No One. I hope to reflect all that love and light and peace back on all of you. And thank you, Dancing Aurora Borealis, for your swan. Om Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. Of course, you may see the mantra on screen and screenshot it, dear Oren. Thank you for asking. I'm also going to upload the recording of this live stream to my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. The whole recording goes up there, as well as the meditation in its own playlist, and the readings that we do too, if you ever want to check that out. You can meditate with us atemporally. Speaking of which, hello my viewers from the future. I trust that was enough time, dear Oren. That sounds beautiful, dear High Hopes. I love that, dear Raven. Good night, dear Hairspray Betty. Farewell, Magdalene Priya. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Anisora. And dear Lena, thank you for your rose. Ishana Sarva Vidyanam Ishwar Sarva Bhutanam Brahmadipati Brahmanodhipatir Brahma Shivo Me Astu Sa Eva Sada Shiva Om. Thank you, Oren, for your team bracelet too. Om Bhairava Rudraya Maha Rudraya Kala Rudraya Kalpanta Rudraya Veera Rudraya Rudra Rudraya Ghora Rudraya Aghora Rudraya Martanda Rudraya Anda Rudraya Brahmanda Rudraya Chanda Rudraya Shura Rudraya Bhava Rudraya Bhima Rudraya Atala Rudraya Vitala Rudraya Sutala Rudraya Mahatala Rudraya Rasatala Rudraya Talatala Rudraya Patala Rudraya Namo Namah. Yes, if you want to be a part of this community more than just the live streams, there is a Telegram super group, also a Discord server, both linked as little icons in the link tree in my bio, as with everything else I do. My Instagram is on there if that's an easy place for you to reach out. I try to go through my messages every day. I'm a little slacking lately. Might take every 2 days, but one business yam day. One yam day. Thank you to my lovely moderators for helping keep the peace too. And if there's anything I can do to help make the space more inclusive for you or anyone next time, please let me know. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritangamaya. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now you know what one of the words in that mantra means. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to the light, from death to deathlessness. May there be peace in us, may there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Hello, dear Rav. I am good. Good to see you. Hello and goodbye. Thank you, Curtis, for your perfume too. Ganganapataye Namah. Sorry to catch you so late, dear Rav. I must take care of this body now, but my best wishes are with you. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaste. And thank you, Pastalati, for the rose you sent to, or the heart mate, rather. Thank you for the heart. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Thank you, K Little Star. Best wishes to you too. Take care.